Okay, let's move on to Washington.
Okay.
4-8 a year ago, 3-6 in conference. They first fired their offensive coordinator John Donovan, then their head coach Jimmy Lake, brought in Kalen DeBoer from Fresno State, and DeBoer built really good offenses as Indiana's offensive coordinator, and then Fresno State's head coach. That's kind of
Yeah.
what he was known for. Um, Before we just, I guess, dive into some of the team, like, what are your thoughts just kind of on the program as a whole and the hire that they made?
I like Fresno State was really good last year.
Yeah.
Um, I was very impressed with how they played. Fresno was like they were the sneaky team that no one really wanted to play against. They had like multiple games that like you could like on national TV where they brought it. Like they really brought it.
Yeah.
I think the Oregon game comes to mind as a game where
Wasn't
like
that one on the Pac-12 network that we all wanted to watch and couldn't?
no, that's right. I think it was really close. Late. Everyone is desperate to watch that game, and for like, yeah, it was like the Pac-12 plus or something for some reason, and like
No, it
no
was
one had
just,
access to
I
it.
think it was just straight Pac-12 network, which is not on YouTube TV or accessible in a huge parts of the country. And
Yeah,
that's part of the reason why you probably lost USC and UCLA. Just saying. Okay. Anyway, continue. Like the Pac-12 was just so poorly run the last while that I think that's
I
part of the reason.
I
But
agree. Hey, just tell me how you really feel. Then tell me how you really feel there. No, I like okay. So back. Okay, sorry. Back to Washington here a little
yes.
bit, but like Jimmy Lake. Okay, he was well thought of. I understand that, and people really yeah okay, with stuff like that it's really hard to know like what actually happened. There's rumors that he was abusive to players, and like yeah, like the locker room dynamics weren't great. I mean, like whatever, like what coach isn't from time to time, and what like there's always a player that like a disgruntled player that can say that, like sometimes, like I mean, what happened with like Brian Harson and stuff, where like all this stuff comes out, and like yeah, it's really hard to know. That's just what I'm that's I'll just leave it at that. It didn't end well, and you're moving on with a kind of a promising up and coming head coach. Kalen DeBoer he's a great offensive not mind. No one can doubt that. So
Mhm.
like, but he's not the recruiter. Like he is not the recruiter that like even Dan Lanning is right next door.
Sure.
So yeah, and that's your rival. I don't know. I'm just gonna wait to play this one out a little bit, and
Mhm.
we'll see how it goes. There's no doubt that he's got a great offensive mind. Um, and yeah, it's that one. You'll just have to sit back and watch Washington there for a bit.
Yeah, so just diving into the team a little bit. Michael Penix transfers from Indiana, the
Yep.
quarterback.
Yep.
Obviously had Kalen DeBoer as his coordinator a few years ago when he really
Mm-hmm.
had his best season at Indiana.
Yep.
They also returned their starting quarterback Dylan Morse, and they have former five-star Sam Heward. So there's options at quarterback. Penix
Right.
has had lots of injury troubles throughout his career, so I guess I wouldn't be shocked as someone who has seen Penix have highs and lows, and watched him a lot. I actually wouldn't be shocked if Sam Heward ends up kind of being the guy by the end of the year. Um,
Okay.
but I feel like regardless of what happens, I feel like they're going to get good quarterback play just because you have three what looks like good options. Um, at running back, they actually have Texas transfer Emeka Megwa. Um, Probably remember that name a little bit if you've watched Texas the last couple years.
Mm-hmm.
And they have some other players there too. That's maybe the notable name if you, yeah, for your average college football fan. Washington fans might feel differently. But at the receiver room, I think is actually pretty good. It's not super proven, but they have some talent there. Jalen McMillan is a good player. Rome Odunza, I don't know if that's pronounced right. Um, yeah, and some other options too. And I think just switching from a John Donovan offense to a Kalen DeBoer offense, I think that's going to be huge for this team personally. The defense, Jimmy Lake was known as the defensive guy. Was a secondaries coach and then became a defensive coordinator and then the head coach and was always known as that defensive guy. But it was actually slightly disappointing last year. Not terrible,
Mm-hmm.
but it was disappointing. Like their defense was not as good as it should have been last year,
Right.
and they lost most of their players. They had two really good corners that got drafted. Um, the front seven should still be pretty good. It's always going to be Washington. They're always going to have players in the front seven with names you can't pronounce.
I was going to
that are
say,
pretty
do
good.
we want to try this? I'm looking at these now. These are very intimidating names.
Feel free. Feel free. I was just going to say they're pretty good.
Yeah, they're good. They're good. We'll just go with they're good. Yeah.
The secondary is a huge question mark. But again, like with a team like this, with a new coach, like you're not looking for this team to set the world on fire. You're looking for some competence and a clear plan. Am I wrong?
No. Agreed completely. These aren't the days of Chris Peterson. Like you're not making a playoff anytime soon. So no, agreement there for me. I think the getting a quarterback in there. I know we stress this with almost every new coaching hire, but quarterback play is just so huge for these first year coaches, and getting a good rapport with your quarterback and the coaching staff is it's probably the single biggest thing that a new coach can do. And can he do it with Penix? Can they kind of get the band back together a little bit, back to when he was playing really well? Maybe it's possible. There's talent there. And yeah, I just hope one of these guys works out. If it does, yeah, like 8 wins, suddenly you can see that. You can see, 7-8 wins and we're feeling good, recruiting he's not going to be able just to jump. I don't feel like he's going to be able to jump in and go head to head with Oregon or USC for those guys. That's not, I don't think, his MO, but being competent on offense and having an above average quarterback is what is going to win him games in the Pac-12. So yeah, I agree there. I think quarterback play again is what he has to figure out day one.
Yeah. It's interesting what you just touched on, because if you actually look at some Washington message boards, which I've spent a little bit of time on,
okay,
just because mostly just when Notre Dame and Washington have a recruiting battle or something.
Okay.
And there was a time when Washington kept beating Notre Dame, mostly for in-state guys, but you're like, come on, we're Notre Dame. We should be able to beat these guys for this 4-star corner or whatever. And it seems like those days are gone. They actually believe, if you listen to the fans, they believe they should be a top 20 talent-wise team. They think they should recruit the top 20. And it hasn't really been reality the last while.
No. So, okay. But what fan base isn't? Have you been on a Florida State message board or even a Florida message board? You can go on to North Carolina, literally everyone is convinced that they should have a top 20 class, and there's only 20 of the top 20 classes. The days, what I said, the days of Chris Peterson it's over. That's in the past. And you do have to accept a new reality here, that you're looking for a coach simply to rebound and just steady the program here and have a good offense. And we'll figure, the defense will be okay. And yeah, you need to start. You're starting over.
Yes.
It's not like you're building on strength, like what Oregon's doing right now. You're not at the same place. You're definitely 2 or 3 steps behind them.
Build something consistent, win the games you're supposed to win.
Right.
And then your recruiting can follow that a little bit, and that's where you take that next step.
Right. Yeah. No, agreed.
So the numbers here, I found 7.5, I found 8.5 for their win total. Where are you leaning with Washington?
I'm okay. I think they can go 8-4.
Okay.
I have zero confidence in this. They have the game against Michigan State, in the non-conference. That's Michigan State's good. I'm a fan there. I'm going to have them going over. I have them going 8-4. I'm taking the over, low confidence level.
Okay. I have a theory. I sort of view Washington a little bit the same way that I viewed Tennessee a year ago.
Okay.
It's that team that's just so choked by just horrible offense, an offensive mind that does not belong as their head coach. Jeremy Pruitt for Tennessee, obviously Jimmy Lake for Washington. Mm-hmm. And I feel like just having someone who knows how to call plays on offense, it's going to make them a lot more exciting and better, if not awesome. I don't expect them to be awesome, but I think they'll be better.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, I'm also going to take the over. I agree with you on that. Not super confident. Like this is probably one of my least confident picks in today's episode. Um, but I realize that Tennessee went 7-6 last year, and if Washington does that, then they will by definition have hit the under. Also, I think Tennessee probably would have hit this over if they were in the Pac-12 last year. So there is a bit of a difference there. Yeah, I just feel like Kalen DeBoer, he's not going to fix the defense from day one. Like their secondary will give up some stuff,
Right.
and that's fine. You're not trying to win 10 games here. Okay, obviously, you're trying, but that's not the expectation. Go ahead and win 8, and I think they can do that. It's going to be tough. The schedule is actually sneaky tough. Just run through it a little bit here. So they start with Kent State, Portland State, Michigan State. That could be a bit of a swing game. They get them at home for the
You're
second
not beating
year.
Michigan State.
Probably
Not.
not.
Michigan State.
Probably not.
No.
I'm a slightly more. I'm not quite as high on Michigan State this year as maybe some other people are. But I do think like if you're Washington, that's not one of the 8 most likely.
Okay.
Stanford at UCLA at Arizona State. Arizona State. We'll get to that next week, but anyone is lying if they tell you that they know what Arizona State will look like halfway through the year or by the end of the year.
If they even have a coach. Yes.
Yes. Arizona at Cal, Oregon State at Oregon, Colorado at Washington State. So they probably need to win the Apple Cup to hit the over here, but they usually win the Apple Cup. Last year notwithstanding. So yeah. Any disagreement there? What do you think of my Tennessee take?
No, I like that. That's kind of where I was trending. Like Kalen DeBoer is like, yeah, Jimmy Lake has suppressed that offense so much. Like I would agree with you there. Like he was a defensive guy, and yeah, I really hope that that's the case. Like I'm hoping that that's the case, and that they can, like, if they come in and have any, just even a nice little offensive rhythm, I think they can win 8 games. I do. Like they're more talented than a lot of these teams that they'll be playing, and they'll have more dudes there. Yeah, I'm hoping. I'm maybe not quite as optimistic. Like this for me, this is, I have to go over under. I have to make a, and I don't feel great about the under, so like I'm going over, but just low confidence because like I think Vegas nailed it with this number. That's kind of right where I've got them. So yeah, it could go either way. I hope to see an improvement on offense. I think that's all.